Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show with your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino. How are you, man?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
As
Excellent.
Our new intro fades out. How about that, huh?
That's nice, man. I like that. That's good.
And that's courtesy of you, my friend. That's all. That underlying track is you. That is your stuff.
I'll take the blame for it. But thanks for piecing it together.
Yeah, I figured I'd take some cool things that some of our guests in the past have said, put them together. Of course, we had to keep It Goes to 11. And
made an audio collage.
Yes, made a little thing out of it and, put it together so we don't get sued in the future, which is awesome. A good,
right.
Very good thing.
It's called forward thinking. It's,
yeah,
it's a good idea.
So, of course, we got to talk. We got a little thing.
There's something missing from the beginning of the shows lately. That's been on there lately, but now it's gone.
Yeah, and our webpage, I took it down.
Okay.
Adam Carolla won against the Patent Troll personal audio. Sorry.
Yeah. That's great news.
Yes, it is.
Fantastic news.
And thanks to some of our listeners, right? Thanks to some of our listeners have clicked through the banner and they donated money and we donated money. And now podcasting is safe once again. It's one of those
somebody
things.
Figures out another way to screw honest working people.
I've read a couple things. They say it's not, the personal audio could swing back around later on and try it again. But the chances of that are pretty slim to none. Hopefully. Yeah. And of course, we want to thank our listeners because
always.
You guys, they just rock. I mean, we have some of the best listeners. I know a lot of shows always talk about how great their listeners are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taken back by some of the email that we get. Just the outpouring to us of what they, how they like the show. And I'm like, it's
musical love or love of music or...
That's an awesome thing, man. Because sometimes, I'm thinking, I know I carry on and, but I guess we're educating people, and that's the good part.
Well, I call it when I always put up a post, about these things. It's I call it infotainment.
Yes.
And we educate, we
try to entertain a little bit.
Yeah. It's all good, man, because you need both.
Yes,
and for a balance in life.
That
and music.
And we of course want to thank Premiere for all what they do, and all their coolness. God, I see so many rig rundowns now, and I'm like, it's pretty interesting to see what some of these guys are using. The Brian May one, which I saw the other day.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
that is a cool one. Check that out on YouTube. Brian May Rig Rundown.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and they also I was just reading in there about a review they did of two. I get asked a lot about amp kits and things like should I buy a kit?
We've gotten a lot of email asking you about amp kits.
I get questions all the time and. They did a review of two different little 18-watt, like Marshall-style 18-watt clone kits from a couple of different companies. And, very, very similar kits because they're based on the 18-watt Marshall, the little 18-watt Blues Breaker style Marshall. And, these were put together by two different companies. And they experienced different results with them. I don't think it was staggeringly different results, but each one sounded different, and you really can't say why they did, because there were so many differences in the components. Like they both used different transformers, they both used different resistors and capacitors, they both used different speakers. The cabinets were probably made from wood from different parts of the country,
Sure.
and that's going to contribute as well.
And I've heard some of those kits come from China, right? Or some of the companies that put those kits together.
Well, there's one large company that is Chinese based, but these were both American based companies.
Very good.
And one kit was a little bit easier to put together because they supplied you with a turret board.
Sure.
That you mount the components on. You twist the leads around. One of them supplied you with a turret board that was already loaded with turrets, and the other one supplied you with a bare board and turrets, and you had to drill your own holes with a template and then press the turrets into the board before you could even start building.
Wow.
That kit was a little bit less money, but there's where you have to weigh your time and effort.
Yes.
Into, okay, is it worth my time to do this, or should I spend another $100 or whatever it was? And
drilling those holes, you need something stable like a drill press.
Yeah.
You're not just going to wing it by hand.
They did give you a template, luckily.
Yeah.
It's and if you don't have a drill press, or if you're not familiar with or comfortable with working with power tools,
pay the extra $100.
Pay your money, and at least all the little studs are in the right places, and they're not going to fall out. Because
they're just like eyelets, right? They're just pressed in there.
No,
right?
these are studs that actually stick out. They're turrets.
Yes, but I mean, there's like an eyelet on the
other side. You actually have to. There's a
rivet,
a punch, or a presser that it gets folded over like a rivet.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can buy real bare bones.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
make not only make your own amp, make your own board. So it all depends how far you want to go. But there's there's plenty of stuff out there. My basic answer is I can't favor one over another. But my basic answer is, if you're looking to put together an amp kit, especially if it's your first one,
sure.
Number one, make it an easy one. Don't go to build a recto or something. Not that they have those kits, and
don't build a 3-channel.
Personally, I wouldn't want it, but
don't build a 3-channel. What else could you have in there?
It doesn't matter.
With like a reverb unit.
Stop right there. It's already 10 times more than you wanted. Take on for your first kit.
Yeah.
But build something simple. Get a champ. Whether it's a blackface champ or a tweed champ or something like that. Get a really simple kit, and then get comfortable with it. Or maybe even there's build your own effects out there now. Maybe build a simple effect first. If you're not familiar with soldering, get familiar with soldering with build your own effect, and then go to an amp, because there's high voltages in there, and you really. You should probably be proficient at making good solder joints before you got involved in that, because arcing and stuff like that happens.
Yeah, and it's harder to type the email to you asking you for advice when you've been shocked and thrown across the room.
Well, I still manage to do it, so occasionally it keeps me awake for an extra hour at night. But build a simple one and buy a kit from the same place. Don't try to buy a chassis from one supplier and transformers from another and a board from another, because there's a very good chance that the dimensions are all slightly different. And, first thing you're going to encounter before you ever attempt to put the kit together is you can't even physically put it together. It's just not going to. So buy the kit from one supplier. Once you get familiar,
then you can start doing all kinds of stuff.
And realize, okay, this transformer may not fit. What am I going to have to do? Then you start with your metalworking skills. But simple, and get it all from one place.
Yeah, and that's all like anything else. I mean, when I built the first guitar, I went, wow, this really is insanely hard. And then by the second guitar, I was like, well, I know what mistakes I made on the first and the second. And every time, so it's repetition. So if you're going to get into that, like you said, start off with something simple, and then as you progress, you can go a little bit harder. Just like the thing with guitars. I mean, don't don't try to do your Engel Fireball.
Yeah,
Kit
yeah,
right out of the box.
No. And, I mean, and speaking of building guitars, you might find this interesting. I was over at our friend Kevin Brubaker's the other day.
Kevin is the man,
and he had a body blanket, up on the bench with a top glued on, and they were starting to get ready, and he had the neck for it. I said, that looks really pretty, and the top matched the fingerboard on the neck and everything. And they were two separate things. And he put them together so I could see it, and he had to push down really hard on the neck to get it into
the slot,
the slot in the his
the tenon runs
pretty far in. I mean, 6 to 8, 10 inches in.
That's pretty soft. I mean, some of them it looks like he's going a foot in the guitar.
It could be. And I said, "Wow, that's really tight, man." He said, "Yeah, I like they can't have any play in them at all, and I like it so that when you pull it apart, it makes this sucking sound." he held the body and he pulled the neck, and the pop that it made when they came apart. And this is wood on wood. This is nothing finished. It's and of course you have to account for the finish. So there's a little like 300 grit sandpaper you've got to come down on before you finish anything.
Well, that wouldn't have any, because the actual like on a Fender or even a Gibson, anything where the two woods meet, you don't want to have any finish on those. You want to have those bare.
Oh, I don't know. I think a Fender neck is finished all the way.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
but the pocket will be bare.
Yeah, the pocket might be empty. Yeah.
And then that's a factory too. But I'm sure if you get into like some of the Wayne Charvel stuff, they actually leave that guy bare, But they leave most of their necks bare.
Maybe he does, but this was just wood on wood, and it was so tight. It popped like a champagne cork.
That's pretty cool.
It was incredible.
Dave McNaught, who's an insane builder, he does what they call a set-through neck. Now, a set-through neck is the tenon extends all the way down to the bridge.
Okay.
But it's a very tedious process. Now, Kevin goes like a crazy step forward because the neck is on a taper, right? From the nut to the heel, it tapers. It goes from a small to a larger, so it's not parallel.
No, well, but when it hits the body.
Well, Kevin's guitars, when it hits the body, it then turns parallel.
Right.
But, any manufacturer now if they make so if Carvin, they make a tenon, they make the tenon straight. The Fender, that pocket matches the guitar. It's the same. It doesn't change, direct. It doesn't change its trajectory. It's still going in that angle. But McNaught does that too. So they're like, well, how can you put a maple cap on top of something that still is going out from, still going in that wider area?
Mm-hmm.
So what he does is he carves the body, he makes the route for the neck, he sets the neck in, and then using a pin system, he carves the top and then sets the top on top. So he has to do all this pre-finishing, all this prefab, everything has to be done, and then he can put the guitar together.
But you would never get that neck out then.
Never.
Unless you took the top off.
It would be absolutely, you would have junk.
Wow.
Yeah. And his guitars actually have a very dark tone because the tenon's so deep into the guitar. There's so much mass in the neck that, and even unlike a neck through, it's really dark.
How is that different than a neck through?
I don't. Well, he uses a lot of like tone woods, like mahogany. I don't think he uses any kind of maple. My Carvin was maple, and it was bright, which makes sense. That was the way it would be. But I don't know if it was the combination of the top and the back, and it was sandwiched in there. I don't know. I would love to have him on and discuss it, because that little set through thing is something that he kind of I don't know if you trademarked that or patented that, or he owns that, the set through.
Okay.
And if you go to his website, it's mcnaughtguitars.com. But if you look in there, it will explain that whole thing, and it's very cool. But anyway, to get back to your point, he makes the joint so tight. I don't even know how glue sets in there, but he makes it so tight that when he presses the neck in to the body, he can take the neck and pick it up, and the body won't fall off. I was like, man, that's crazy. Yeah. And it's a huge tenon too, man. I mean, it's pretty amazing. But Kevin is Kevin. The first time I saw his guitars, I was like amazed, because I was like, man, you took a concept that I'm sure a lot of people have thought about, but can't execute it, because it's a hard thing to do what he's doing. I mean, you know, the neck, it's a lot of work. Yeah. And his neck, some of those necks are 20 strings. They're 5 inches across at the heel. The fingerboard has to continue on this radius, but the upper horn is so big that the neck actually has to start going straight at that point. It's very complicated, and there's no machinery. No. It's all hand.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's some, but it's basic machinery. It's not like...
It's just to cut the overall shape, but
right.
And everything
it's
else...
It's gross cut, and then everything else is...
hand shaved down. Right. I mean, if you ever wonder why his guitars are pricey, they're... Just look at that process and you'll understand why. I mean,
there's a lot of work that goes into
There's a lot of handwork on those guitars.
you were mentioning a 20-string bass or something. What did I just see the other day?
A 24-string
24-string bass, yeah.
And I said because it's hard to carry. Piano's
too big to carry around, yeah. It was actually more or less an 8-string bass.
Yeah, but they have...
But with 3 strings each.
Yeah.
You know, so you fret 3 strings at a time, you know.
I know.
It's like your worst 12-string nightmare times...
Ever.
1.5, yeah.
I just... We've had this discussion. Now they have 8-string... I think they've had 9-string guitars. Mm-hmm. And now they got, you know, these 20-string basses. And I just go... And you know, the one that Kevin was building, that was just individual strings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 20 individuals.
Yes, that was...
You know what? God bless somebody that can wrap their hand around it.
I don't even understand it.
You know, I bow down to the people that can play that, because I have absolutely no idea how a human being's hands are supposed to navigate that neck. It is mind-boggling.
Yes. And my thing is I just go, where is this? What application does this fit in? I mean...
Well, I think you learn to play it first and then figure out what you're going to do with it. You know, it must be a whole new form of music in that thing, you know? There
a lot of that new planet, you know, where it's just crazy technical and maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
I've seen some crazy things, but that was the craziest.
I don't know. Well, you know, I'm sure our guests today... be it a 4-string or a 20-string, make some wonderful hardware for said apparati.
Yes, they do. I've reached out to these guys a little bit, and we had a little dance. you know,
scheduling's a problem sometimes. Yeah, you know, we all have issues.
These guys are small. This is not some huge corporation. You know, they're small, very, very USA made. Everything USA made.
Excellent.
Very proud of what they do, and a very small group, and which is cool. Mm-hmm. You know,
it's great.
You're going to get the extra quality when it's like that.
Right.
You know, when it's the Kevin Brewbakers of the world.
I mean, there's a bunch of people's hands on this, and
yes.
You know.
And then finally, Josh got back to me. So we're going to be speaking to Dave Borisoff from Hipshot.
And I read a little history. It's really interesting how they got started. So we'll have him fill us in on everything. It's very cool. And we'll talk to them in a minute.
Hey guys, this is Case Shepper from Soundcheck Nashville. If you're ever in Nashville, be sure to look us up for any of your backline, rehearsal, storage, or cartage needs. And be sure to keep it tuned here to Amps and Axes and listen to these guys because they know what they're talking about.
And he's funny. As promised, we bring to you the founder, and I'm not going to say that acronym, but the man in charge.
Yes,
Dave Borisoff of Hipshot. Dave, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing, Nick? How you doing, Jeff?
Doing well.
We're doing
well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You know, I've told this story to Jeff, and Dave, I'll shed the light with you. I had a guitar that had all locking gears on it, and I was getting into the metal thing, but we still did songs in E, and I didn't have enough money for 2 guitars, so I was like, what do I do here? Do I tune, you know? And then my bass player was like, hey, man, I got this Hipshot. And I was like, man, I wish I could get one of those. And the internet was still, you know, it was one of those things, right? So then I went out there and I went, oh, my God, they make them for a guitar.
Nice.
So I got the tuner, and it wasn't locking, so I called up, and I don't know who answered the phone there, but the guy goes, hey, man, send us the tuner. I got a thing I can do to it, and it'll be a locking gear.
Really?
Sure enough, I sent it to him. The guy drilled a hole in the end of the post, threaded it, put a set screw in
Put a
it.
thumb screw in?
Yeah. And
Wow.
it worked perfect.
Do you remember what year that was?
Oh, that was, that was 1995?
That was me. You talked to me.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of the company, wasn't it? 95.
82.
Oh, no, 80. I was thinking 85, but you said 95.
95, and in 94 he moved. They moved.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
maybe
what
I
you
got
saw when you.
Yeah, I got the dates mixed up.
Yep.
Okay.
But that thing, I don't know. You should win the Nobel Peace Prize for this. That thing never went out of tune and I could flip that thing all night long. And as long as you had that string stretched and you just had that little micro tuner set right, you never had to touch it again.
Wow.
For the life of that string.
I'm glad it's behaving for you.
Oh, it was
Very
it was
nice.
perfect. I said, hands down, that was one of the coolest things I've ever owned. That was so simple, but obviously took this mind to come up with it, and here we're talking to him.
We're talking to him now.
Here I be.
Speaking of that, speaking of beginning, let's go back to the beginning. I mean, from what I was reading, your initial product idea
Right.
was very similar to someone else's. Expound on that for us.
It started, I guess, in 78, 79, 80. I was a pedal steel player and a banjo player in Los Angeles, and I was going to make my living at that. And my father was an aerospace engineer, and we always had a little shop out back. So my hobbies were playing and tinkering. And one day I was at playing a country bar, pedal steel, and I looked over and I'd been messing with B-benders. I was trying to make another B-bender. I don't know why. And I looked over at the telly player, Chuck Cruz, and he's a great player. He was playing away, and as I was playing my steel players have knee levers. And I hit my knee lever, and so that was, I guess, the aha moment that an inventor would have. And I combined B-bending with knee levers, and a couple days later I had hacked off in my dad's little machine shop a little device, a little bent piece of metal with a lever on it, and grabbed Chuck's guitar, took it home with me that night, had it back to him the next day, slapped it on, and we slapped it on, and I played a pedal steel lick, and he echoed it back at me.
Wow.
And my fate was sealed from that moment on.
Did you have to hack up the guitar?
No alterations to the guitar.
See,
the little thing held on was felt lined, and it held on with a strap button screw.
Wow.
See, there's the difference.
Quite a difference
Yeah.
from the well, I guess everybody knows what the other one is, the Parsons White, quite a difference, because there's a substantial hole in the back of the guitar when you put those in.
Yeah, if I realized early on, if the player didn't have to invest his guitar, then we had a lot more going for us, because the cost of the product and installation has to be easy, because the installation is actually the cost of the product.
True.
So these things sold for like $75, and the player could put it on himself.
Nice.
Wow.
And he could take it off and put it on another guitar if he wanted. So it was at the beginning, it was hard going, because not a lot. It's a new company, new product. It's singling out a guitar player, a type of guitar player, someone who wanted a B-bender. And I remember telling my wife at the time, I said, Kate, I don't think we'll ever sell 2 of these in one day.
There's a lofty goal.
Wow.
We're never going to sell we're never going to sell $300 in a day. What am I kidding? But, later that year, and the device also had a little E to D tuner on it, a little toggle. And by the way, this device is still selling better today than it's ever sold. So,
wow.
Yep.
So it had a little device on it to flip the low E down to D, and this is all located at the tailpiece of the guitar.
Yeah.
And so Curtis Tilton, bass player, looked at Chuck Cruz flipping down the low E and D, and Curtis said, "Boy, I'd love to have one on my bass." And so in 1982. So the B Bender came out in 82. The D tuner came out in 83. Wow. And I didn't think much of the D tuner at the time, frankly. I thought the B Bender was, a guitar product that would do much better. Mm-hmm. And I put it on the last page of the brochure on the back, almost like just a filler,
Like an afterthought.
An afterthought. In 1983, we took it to a NAMM show, and Billy Sheehan looked at it.
That's all it took.
That's all. It was 83, 84, I can't remember, 83, 84, and it was some guitar show in L.A. And Jaco Pastorius was there, and Bunny Brunel was there, and Jeff Berlin was there. A bunch of guys were there, and they all saw it at the same time. And that's all it took, man. It was just, whew.
Wow.
So,
a cool show.
I guarantee you that was a day that you sold more than 2.
Now, the bridge that I'm curious about, and that's the trilogy.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That thing is amazing. How many tunings?
Well, I figured it out one day. I think it was 729. It's let's see, 6 times 6. I can't remember how I did it, but a bunch. It was each string has 3 settings.
3 settings times.
And so it's 3 times 3. I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a bunch. More than you need.
Can you believe that?
It's like 6 to the 3rd power or 3 to the 6th power is something that
this thing is an amazing piece of work. I mean, it's a lot. It's 6 levers. Right. They have 3 positions per string, so you literally can. You want to do dadgad? You don't have to touch your tuners. You just flip the levers and you're in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great engineering feat right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what do you dream about at night?
It must have been something I took.
It must have been something I ate.
I saw the Hipshot, and then I was like, okay, well, I understand. You're dropping the 1 string down. And then I saw the trilogy, and I was like, oh, my God. And you endless with what you could do.
Wow.
It's a lot. Yeah.
There's...
I can't remember the gentleman who, real famous slide player in like 85, 90. Oh, boy. When you get to be over 61, you forget things.
Yeah. That happens at 47.
You're not talking Sonny Landreth or anything.
Yeah, you got it.
There you go.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Sonny's listening. I'm sorry.
Love you, Sonny.
I forget my own name. So.
It's Dave.
Yes.
Dave's not here.
Yeah, Sonny, man. That's a slide player, huh?
Cooker. Yeah, man, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
we have something else a brand new something else along that line that's just being released. I'm as I said, I was a banjo player and a pedal. I still am, and a pedal steel player. But my real love is dobro because I'm bluegrass.
Oh, okay.
So back then, I guess around 30 years ago, I diddled around with this little device that flipped the dobro, which is tuned GBD, GBD, starting from the low strings.
Sure.
And the other famous tuning, or most popular tuning for dobro, is D, which is D-A-D, F sharp A-D. So this little thing with a handle flips it back and forth between G and D tunings.
Oh, wow. My God. That is so cool.
And actually, I did it, and back then I realized, you know what, I'm going to sell 12 of them to all dobro players, and it's going to cost me. I couldn't produce it back then. But just recently, about a year ago, I yanked it. I saw it sitting. I cleaned up my office, believe it or not, and there it was sitting under a pile of whatever. And I said, you know what, we can do this. So I spent 6 months doing this, and I got together with Paul Beard, who's makes the most excellent dobros, Resophonic guitars.
Nice.
And sent him a video of me made a new one. Sent him a video of me flipping back and forth, trying to play, and he showed it to Jerry Douglas.
Wow.
and Jerry Douglas has one on his guitar, and now we're doing it. It's called the Hipshot Double Shot.
Wow.
Nice.
And it works really well, and they're very cool. They're very cool. I'm very excited about it.
It's like having a double neck dobro.
That's right.
Yes.
Guitars.
That's killer. That's killer.
It's very cool, if I do say so myself.
And you should. You should. I sat in with a friend of mine last night, and a dobro player was there with this dobro, and my friend Dean said, "Yeah, just come on." This guy was killer.
Yeah.
Killer dobro player, and I love that. And his tone was immaculate. I got to find out more about this so I can turn this guy onto that.
Get the double shot on there, man.
That's
Double shot.
Awesome.
Google Beard Guitars, Hipshot Double Shot.
All right.
Beard, okay.
Beard, Beard, Beard Guitars. He makes really, really fine.
All you listeners, Google that. Find this.
Yes. Maybe I can. I'll find it. I'll put a link on our site under the show.
Yeah.
There
they
you
have. I can't remember. As I said, I'm 61. I don't remember names, but they have this 17, 18-year-old kid playing it, and he is amazing.
Wow.
And for all you watching Jerry Douglas out there with playing with Alison Krauss, let's have some Jerry sightings, because you'll see him flip around on this thing, and it's very cool. He's on tour with Willie Nelson and Alison Krauss.
Wow.
This summer. Very cool.
That is great.
So everything is made in-house, correct?
Not everything.
Okay.
Just about everything. Some parts are done by vendors, but 90-95% is done in-house. Some things are just too heavy production, too many parts. I don't want a gigantic. Right now we have 35 people. I don't want to physically. It's we can't keep the volume and the value balance.
Sure.
So we have some parts made outside, but everything is 85-95% is made in-house.
I would assume you don't do plating in-house, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because that's just an EPA nightmare to deal with.
It's hard to find good platers. Once you get one, you got to hang on, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're blessed. We have a very good plater in Nashville, Tennessee, doing good work, and
nice.
Yeah, they're used to the music industry has its own set of values as far as what needs to be, how plating has to be.
Oh,
so it's the tolerances, and they're very used to this, so that's good.
Oh,
right,
that's so cool.
But along that lines, we don't do casting. I don't have. I very rarely use zinc cast. We machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We machine out of either brass, aluminum, or steel. We have a laser, so we can cut out a stainless. I like to use materials that will hold up.
Mm-hmm.
I find zinc doesn't hold up under the tension. It's too soft. It gives under the tension of the string, and after a while, you have a warped part or a worn out part, and you throw it away. So I'd like to make parts that'll be around long after I'm gone.
Zinc is that something that people also call pot metal, or
it's a relative. Yes.
It's a relative. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
Go
ahead, I'm sorry, but my good friend, our good friend Kevin Brubaker, Brubaker Guitars has Hipshot tuners on them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The guitars, with the new locking. His lockers are, you see locking gears, and I think, okay, that concept's done. It's a sealed gear, and it's got a little thumb wheel on the back of it, and that's it, right? Now he takes it to another level. He gives you almost a vintage gear with an exposed, I guess that would be the pinion or whatever it would be.
Yes, the wheel.
Yeah, the wheel, but the locking piece. So he's made the tuner ultra light.
Right.
Because if you get a set of showers, they're heavy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they add a good bit of weight to the headstock.
Correct.
And depending upon what kind of guitar you have, it could go down.
Right. Right.
So no, he makes them very light.
Right. Well, I designed those are our tuners, our guitar tuners,
Yep.
and I designed them modeled them after the ultralights.
The bass tuners, yes.
Bass tuners. So I like to see as a geek. I like to see how things work. I like to see the parts, and I assume that other people like to see how the parts work. And by removing the excess material, you can actually lighten up things. It's like building an airplane. You stick with essential parts, and you take away what you absolutely don't need, and you get a lighter part.
Isn't that cool?
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And I do like the look of that too.
Yes, it's a very cool tuner.
Retro look.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, and I wanted to ask Dave about this. If you have your vintage Strat, right, or you have your vintage Gibson,
right,
and tuners are just they're not making it anymore, right?
Right. But you got to replace them.
You got to replace them. But
Mm-hmm.
you want to go with something a little bit more modern. But you don't want to be drilling holes into your 65 Strat.
That's a no-no.
Right?
Exactly.
So Dave invented this very cool thing.
He's got this figured out too. This is great.
And Dave, please just tell us about it because it is awesome.
It's called the UMP, Universal Mounting Plate. For a while I was trying to, what happens with the guitars are wonderful. The hardware gets old and wears out. The hardware most connected to the player, is believe it or not, the tuners determine really the way how well the guitar works. Because if they slip, they go out of tune, and then all of a sudden your guitar's out of tune. You don't sound very good, and you're not inspired to play anyway. So the new tuners have developed new technology that actually works quite well. The locking tuner, the staggered tuner. The gear ratio and the mesh of all the backlash and everything is very well figured out now in our tuners. And I wanted to figure out a way to be able to put this on a vintage instrument, because once you upgrade the tuners, you have a lot better guitar. Take a '63 Strat or something. When you go to a staggered post locking tuner, you've really upgraded the performance of the guitar. So the plate is just a little plate that goes on the back of you remove the old tuners. The plate's a little plate. There are a couple little plates that go on the back of the guitar and allows you to put our tuners on that guitar without damaging the guitar at all.
Or reaming out the holes.
Reaming out the holes, anything. So you could actually take our tuners off and put the originals back on, and you'd never know that our tuners were on it. And if so there's no new holes. It's an adapter plate that allows you to put our tuners on just about basically any guitar, an acoustic. Another very good application is a vintage acoustic guitar with locking tuners.
Yeah,
wow,
that's a cool thing.
Yeah. Say you have like an old Les Paul Jr., right?
Right.
Tuners are horrible.
Totally.
The original ones, they're junk.
And you can do 6 on the side or 3 on the side, right?
Yes.
3 on the side, true,
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm telling you, it's the simplest. When you saw it, you went, why haven't we seen this 35 years ago?
Exactly. There's a need. First, there's the need to change the tuners because they suck or they wore out or whatever, and then there's the desire of like, all right, I want to change it, but I really wish that I didn't have to alter the guitar because it is what it is. Where hopefully someday it's going to be worth money or whatever it is.
You kill the value as soon as you do.
But I've got to change the tuners if I want to play this guitar.
Yeah. Right.
So that's a rock and a hard place, man. Yep. This guy found the pry bar between the rock and the hard place.
There you go.
My thought too is how many headstocks have been destroyed by guys taking a drill, thinking they could just drill it out, and literally cracking.
There's an art to that.
It's called, you really need to buy a reamer.
Right.
At $185 from StewMac. And they're not cheap. They're very expensive. And you got to know what you're doing, too. So
again, we take the investment of the guitar out of the equation and the cost of installation out of the equation. All of a sudden, that's called value added. You're adding value to the product because A, you're not investing in your guitar, and B, you don't have to take it to a technician to have it done.
Yeah,
that's cool stuff.
The risk out of it. So
that's fantastic.
that lowers the cost and aggravation for the customer or the musician.
And the anxiety factor,
And the anxiety.
Yeah. You're drilling holes in your headstock of your whatever. It's a little unnerving.
Right.
Now you can have locking tuners on your Les Paul.
There you go.
That actually work. Well,
that's a killer. That is great.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And now, do you come up with all these initial designs, or do you have a team of guys that work with you, or just anybody throws the idea out and you go from there?
Well, a lot of the guys who work here are guitar players, and there's a couple of guys here, Bill, and some others that are actually builders. guitar builders. And so inventing is always the successful being, inventing something that actually works or that feels you need to be a real good listener. You have to understand, listen to your customers and listen to their problems. And basically just solving problems.
That's so cool.
There's a lot of problem solving going on here.
Yeah,
there really is.
Solving problems, thinking outside the box, as they say, and solving the problem. To solve a problem, the problem is, as you grow, we're so exposed, thinking, "Wow, this is the only way to do it," right? Because you've seen them all your life. But then you have to step back out of the picture and look at it again, and almost start over again, at the beginning of the process of the guitar evolution, and think about another way of doing it. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the night or something, you have that aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aha, I see. And then one leads to another. And trust me, there's a lot of failure and a lot of depression.
Well, you shouldn't be depressed about it, but I mean, failure is and making mistakes, I think, is the way we all learn the best. You really don't have huge success until you've fallen down a couple of times and gotten back up.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So a failure is really an opportunity, because a failure is, you can define a failure as an unexpected result. Unexpected. You're trying for something and you got an unexpected, you put in quotes, negative, but it may not be, but it puts you in a place that you've never been. And that is a very important place to be.
Well, it's very nice to come up with things that work, but it's equally as important to find out what doesn't.
That's right.
You know, and that only comes from trying something you think is going to work and it doesn't work, and it's like, oh, that's never going to work. We got to rethink this again.
Yeah.
And that's, we all look at things like this and we say, okay, like you were saying, this is the way it is. But it takes a talented mind based in engineering to look at it and say, well, no, we can do this different.
Sure.
It's like the initial inventor of anything was the engineering mind that says, I can invent this, but this is equally as important and equally as an engineering based mind to look at it and go, well, yeah, you can do that, but you could do it this way too, and this way is better.
Yeah,
right.
It's almost like you don't want to be a musician, because you want to look at it from this outside and go, oh, that just doesn't even look right. You know?
Being a musician, we just accept the way things are. You're right.
Yeah, you just, okay, tune these tuners.
Right. Well, Leo Fender didn't play.
Yeah, that's right.
And look at the Strat, look at the Telly, and look at the P bass and the J bass there. I mean, it's phenomenal. They've been around 60 years, and basically they haven't changed a bit. Now, you look at the evolution of cars and everything like that. I mean, wow, how did that happen? You look, whew, amazing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you look at cars, you look at telephones. I mean, any kind of technology, all this kind of, what a TV used to be or a telephone used to be or something.
I got a phone that's got more power than the first thing that went to the moon.
Exactly. And it's in your pocket,
Exactly.
Right.
You
throw it away.
Yeah, disposable is another thing, that's I don't like either, but, sometimes you got to throw it away. But, guys like this, I mean, they say, why reinvent the wheel? But sometimes it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's we're all happy and complacent because there is a wheel. But sometimes you get people out there to invent a better wheel.
Right.
And I think Dave is one of those guys.
I think so too.
Yeah, man.
It's he's looking at problems with common sense solutions. It's great.
It's very important in my book to keep things as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And half my battle is just simplifying. Simple.
Well,
these guys are going to be using these on stage in front of 20,000 people, and you don't need complex things that break. You need them to be working. So as being a musician, I know what they're up against, and I know what works and what doesn't, I hope. I know my customer because I am one.
See, that's the great part about it. There are guys out there that build amplifiers, whatever. They build, but they're not players. So technically, this thing works, and it's right, whatever right is. But then you put it in a player's hands, and it turns on and it amplifies, but what were you thinking?
Right.
And this guy's thinking from the engineering book,
Yes.
where the player's thinking from the player's book.
Right.
And it's great to be both. I mean, I build a couple of amplifiers and I actually play them as well, so I know where you're coming from.
Right, exactly. Well, you know that the bottom line is making music. That's
Right.
the bottom line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making good sounding music. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. And your customer really shouldn't when he's making that music, he shouldn't have to worry about how he's making it or what he's making it through.
That's right.
He shouldn't have to overthink any of that. He should be focused on his performance and entertaining the crowd. And
Right.
his mind shouldn't be working on anything but music. And
Right.
his soul should be into it. And he shouldn't
That's
have
right.
to be thinking about what's going on behind him or in his hands.
He needs to be inspired by what he hears.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He needs to get his adrenaline glands going, and what comes out of his speaker or his guitar or whatever he's playing, is really got to move him emotionally.
That's for
That's
sure.
a very cool
So
thing.
that's the zone he needs to be in to sail, to soar, and that's what we try to do. Give him the tools so that he can just go into that space, place, whatever that is, where he can play, make his music, and love what he's hearing, and live in the moment.
Exactly.
That's it.
Do you have a favorite, either an aha moment or when you presented something to somebody or something that happened on stage or we've all got stories. You got any favorite ones?
I think when Chuck Cruz hit that little hit that knee lever on the hip lever on his B bender was probably my first. That's what sealed my fate into this. When he looked at me and smiled, and he started, playing pedal steel licks back to me. And when the bass players, I love to watch TV, and Austin City Limits, and I see my gears up there, and I see somebody flip it, and I go, yeah. I was at a bar and a club in Ithaca a few nights ago, and there was Jerry Douglas and his bass player Daniel Kimbo, a great upright bass player. We make a detuner for an upright bass now. And he
really?
And I didn't even know he had it there. And all of a sudden I looked over, and there he's flipping this thing back and forth. And oh yeah. That's the best. I love to see it go.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So you didn't even leave the stand-up guys out, huh? You did that was solid too.
Yeah, that's we have something. Bill Woolry invented that, and he's one of my faves here, and he's a really good inventor and really good tech, and I depend on him a lot.
Nice.
So that was his brainchild. He's a bass player, an upright bass player. So thank you, Bill.
Very nice of you to give some props to him, man. That's great.
Deserves it.
And now
Good.
they make they make a trem setter.
Mm-hmm.
Because tremolos can be a little, they don't always come back to zero.
Really?
Yes, he's got a little
Oh my
bubble.
god.
And they make some headless stuff too for like for headless guitars. I built a couple headless guitars for a guy. Let me tell you, finding one that isn't Steinberger, good luck. Back when I did that, they did not. I was high and low. I ended up buying it from some company out in Germany, and I paid a fortune. And I said, "Well, dude, you want this? This is what you're going to have to pay." And he didn't like that too much, but he paid for it.
Wow.
Well,
And
sometimes the problem is getting the parts.
yeah. Germany seems to be like a place where they make a lot of this stuff, but getting it sometimes is kind of difficult.
So we solved the problem of the headless by making the parts available.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
And it has a few little things in there to help hold the strings. And little problems with headless is sometimes the ends of the strings where you clip them stick out and rip up your bag or rip up your fingers. So we solved that problem. So.
oh, well, good. See, 'cause
nice.
I could have used that because the
Right,
guy did not
yes.
want to use a 2-ball system. He wanted to just use a regular string. So we had to get this thing that bolted onto. It was a nightmare.
Yes.
I'll never do it again in my life. The Baby Grand guitar bridge. I wanted to ask about this.
Sure.
What is that? Just an aesthetic thing, or did you actually? Is that serve a purpose having that offset like that?
That's a brainchild of Chris Hofsnyder. Now, Chris is a really good bass guitar builder. Worked with Mike Tobias. And he was did a lot of tech work. And he sent me a picture. That's a perfect example of how a product can get going. Is we listen to our customers. So Chris said, it'd be very cool to have this aesthetic, and he sent me basically a hand-drawn drawing, hand-sketched drawing, basically on a napkin, little napkin thing of the Baby Grand.
Wow.
And I looked at it and I said, wow, that's very cool. And catted it up and programmed it and made them apart. Sent it back and said, yeah, you got this, this, and this, but this isn't right. So a couple back and forth. And partly aesthetic. It's basically a wraparound bridge, because it holds the strings where, so it doesn't use a tailpiece. Aesthetic.
Oh, you got a few builders using those nowadays.
Yeah, and it's aluminum, solid aluminum. It's not casted. It's milled, it's machined out of aluminum, which is really good as opposed to casting out of, as you say, a pot metal or a zinc. Zinc would never hold up; it would bend, and it would be heavy, and it would be sonically dead.
Yeah.
So and it has locking studs.
Oh, nice!
Wow.
So it's a really good contact and really good integration with the body of the guitar, and it's a hot little bridge. Yeah.
Do we see these on the another Baltimore guy? Do we see these on the Nags guitars?
I don't know.
Okay.
Nags guitars. I don't know.
I thought Joe Nags was looks.
He may
like
be.
I've seen them on his guitars.
Yeah, I thought I saw him one of them. He's got a number of guitars out there, and he's got some that look like Strats and some that look like in that Les Paul kind of world.
Right.
I'm thinking it's probably more on that. Because his Strat stuff has like a tremolo on it that that he does his own thing.
I sometimes get out of touch. I'm usually behind either under a machine or behind my computer trying to figure something out. And I don't get exposed to the sales anymore like I used to. So I'm kind of out of touch of that part of the business. But Jason Ungleich is all over, and he's very proud of that guy. He gives really good service.
Wow.
Nice.
Now, I guess in your little thing there, it said that you guys are like a permanent fixture at NAMM and booth 5735 in Hall B. Is that?
Yeah, 33 years, 33 years.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
well, I tell you what, if we go to NAMM, we're going to have to stop by.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
I'll show you the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We never had a permanent booth number at NAMM. I guess you have to be there for that long to finally find the booth that you like and go, yeah, we'd like this one every year.
Right, yeah. But we register early, like the day after the show.
That's good. And guarantee a seat.
I'm pretty sure they know you're coming back.
Yeah, I guess after this, we say it's funny to see the same person year after year after year. You should take a picture of them standing next to one pole or something. So
yeah, it'll change. You'll see him go through all the hairstyles and
Oh, that'd be funny.
That would be funny, wouldn't it?
Great.
Funny is the word.
Wow. So I tell you what, man, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. This is a cool thing. I've always wanted to, since we started this, this company was one of the companies.
Because you've used their product.
I used the product, and I was really curious, like what.
Bless you. Bless you for feeding my family.
Hey, I tell you what, that thing was a godsend because, you don't want to tune on stage, and we were an opener. So if you wanted to get more songs out, you had to be fast. Mm-hmm. You couldn't chat in between songs.
It's easier on the jokes. If you can flip back and forth, then you don't have to tell as many jokes.
Exactly.
Yeah, openers don't get a lot of time for jokes.
No, we didn't have time for jokes.
Yeah, right.
Anything like that. We didn't have much time for our own songs, but.
Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, I mean, Dave, I really thank you. Like Mick said, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
I respect the product, but I think I respect it from a different aspect than maybe some people. I just respect it from the simplicity and the the reinvention of something to take care of an inherent flaw.
Yeah,
you
man.
know, it's a basic desire. It really takes a special mind to think that through. And I think you've done an exceptional job with all the products doing that.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
And the other part of that, and you know, it's funny because, you know, he played an instrument that, you know, it's like, well, whatever if my guitar player doesn't, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to do all the string bends.
Yeah. Well, the bass player wants to drop D. Well, yeah, good luck with that.
See, Dave, what you should have done to discourage him, you should have given him the B bender, but put it on a pedal.
There you go.
And he'd go, no, I can't do this. You can bend the B's. That's fine.
A big rod coming up
But you
to
know
the
what?
guitar.
Then we wouldn't have Hipshot.
Exactly.
Then we wouldn't have Hipshot.
That's where it was named after, the Hipshot. It was from the knee lever or the hip lever from the D bender.
Wow.
I thought I was going to retire on that one. I put an ad in Guitar Player magazine. It almost bankrupted me. It was $800. I remember it. Maybe I sold 7 of them or something. I couldn't remember.
Oh,
Wow.
Well, you know, now look at you, man. You've been at NAMM for 30-some years, and here we are talking to you, and you're still rolling along. That is a great thing.
Too stubborn to stop. Anyway, I have nothing better to do. You know, so.
That's same here. I have the perfect shirt. A good friend of mine, Dave Malone from the Radiators, gave me a Radiator shirt one day. You know, like a golf shirt or like a work shirt. And their slogan on it was "Too stupid to stop." I love that shirt.
That's it, man.
That is so
I mean,
cool.
why would you, man? It's such a great industry to be involved in.
It's fun. I love it. I feel like I'm a toy maker.
Oh man,
I feel like the little German toy maker with a little hammer making whatever. You know, that's how I feel.
Let me
Santa's elves. You know,
exactly.
I will tell you this story. Awesome. I knew that the bass player had his thing, and I said, okay, well, you know, it's the bass player. It's the drop D. I've seen him for, you know, many years at this time, and I thought I'm going to put this thing on the guitar, and I'm going to have a nightmare. That's what I was thinking. I mean, I really went in with, how is this little lever going to drop? You know, think about this. Dropping a string a whole step.
right?
And then bringing it back.
Well, with a lever, not even like you're tuning it down, you're releasing it down to this whole step. And I was thinking, this thing is going to go wildly out of tune. Like, it's never going to hit its mark.
See, for me, I would think it would be easier to hit the mark than to come back. You know, and then be able to do it repeatedly.
I didn't know what we were going to get, right? And then when you know, you do that, there's a little instruction and there's a little thumb screw that you have to fine adjust to get this thing correct for that string. You got to do it for each time you change the string.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
I did it, and I thought, it's not going to keep doing it.
Ye of little faith.
And I think I went out, and I'm not kidding you. It was like, it took me, you know, like, I don't know how many times practice. I was okay with it. The first time I went out and gigged with it, I remember I would hit the tuner and I would check, you know, each time. And then after about that gig, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm stressing over something that works fine. Just stop doing that.
Wow.
And then once I got used to it, it was like old pair of shoes, man. Just go for it. And like I said, 17 years, that thing was as rock solid as it was. I took it off. I still have it. I sold the guitar and I kept the D-tuner.
Wow.
I like to watch people's eyes. I remember showing it to people, and I like to watch their eyes as I flip the lever, because all of a sudden their pupils dilated and their eyelids. It was so simple how it worked.
Yeah, and you know, if you get real tricky, you know, you get real slick with your writing and all, like Billy Sheehan, those guys are flipping the thing in a song.
Oh yeah.
It's not do the song in D, then flip it up to E and play the next. No. Do it while the song is going.
Right.
And that was the cool part, because then I had this whole new thing, right? I could flip the guitar from an open D for the heavy metal stuff that I was doing, and then right back into E. So then sometimes when people would listen, they would be like, I saw you playing chords this way, and then I saw you playing chords this way, and they weren't even picking it up because it was black.
Right.
And my guitar was black.
Yeah, they really couldn't see what was going on.
It was just disappearing because that lever goes behind the headstock. When
You don't see it.
Yeah.
I remember watching the Tonight Show, and Will Lee is one of our endorsers, and every bass it's got a detuner on it.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it, and the camera was panning behind him, and there he was with the lever, flipping it back and forth. The tune, boom, boom, boom. It was very fun. Whoever I was with, I nudged him with my, look at that. There he was playing it.
Man, that's got to be the coolest thing to see your stuff in action like that.
Yeah,
that's very good. Yeah, that's like, it reminds me why I'm in business. That's why I do the things I do. I love it. Yeah.
Speaking of Will Lee, I know this is off topic, but Dave, did you see his appearance on Letterman when he did MacArthur Park?
I didn't.
Whoa. You got to
really?
You got to check it out. Yeah.
All right, we'll do that.
Yeah, it's he actually sings it too.
It's on YouTube, I'm sure,
yeah,
so you can see.
You got to check it out. It's fantastic. But that's
Oh yeah.
Hopefully you can. I don't know whether he used the detuner in that. He was he probably didn't need to and was too busy singing at the same time.
Right.
But it's quite like a 30-piece orchestra. The whole thing. You really got to check it out. It's pretty awesome.
Now he tunes his down to C quite often.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they'll actually go down to B. So that's from E to B back to E again.
From E to B, really?
Really well. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. See that? I forgot to tell you the fine tuner part.
It sets where you
go to.
But that's right. Wow. You can go all the way down to B from an E.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how far that gear will go.
Wow.
Because the gear actually moves.
Oh yeah. But that's
and then when you
that's
flip the
amazing.
lever, it comes back. Yeah.
Yeah, that way you're not having backlash. You get the gear backlash out of the equation.
Yeah, there's the gear isn't moving at all. It's the tuner.
The worm and the wheel gear, which are the worm is attached to the handle that you turn, the button that you turn, and the wheel is attached to the string post. They're static; they don't move. The whole mechanism turns, and that's how it's accurate.
Wow.
Because you don't have that backlash to deal with.
Is he the greatest guy or what?
Right. Yeah, because see, that's what I was thinking. To get it to go one place, but to get it to come back, because I mean, it's how it is when you tune a guitar, you go back and forth a little bit on the tuner.
So that's what
it takes that out of the equation.
My mindset was there, right?
Okay, I get it now.
Even though I saw the tuner going, I was still thinking tuning, like a normal, and then I was like, oh no, it's going to fail. It's going to fail. And I used to be like. For the first 100 times, I would be like, okay, this is going to be the time. And no, never did. Never did.
Now I get it, because you keep the same direction of pull, the same
move
tension on it the whole time. Yes, that's why.
Yep. So that's why I say keep it simple. Eliminate as much as you can out of the equation. Get rid of all the little paraphernalia that could fail. Paraphernalia that could fail, and just get to the basic, the meat and potatoes, or whatever you want to call it.
The crux of the biscuit.
You have a much higher success ratio. I'll tell you what, it sure surprised the hell out of me when it worked the first time.
Isn't that the best, though?
It is the best.
Isn't that?
You want to call up all your friends. You're not going to believe what I just did.
I just surprised myself. It was my idea, and I surprised myself. That's great. Well, Dave, you're a genius.
Yes, man.
About that borderline, this side of genius. I don't know. I just, as you say, it's too stupid to stop.
There you go.
Well, you know what, man? God bless you. Don't stop, because as the ideas keep coming, man, it's awesome.
Well, it sounds like you have a hell of a lot of fun with it too, man, and that's very important too. So
I'd do it if I wasn't getting paid.
There you go. There you go. It's rewarding all around. So
it's fun.
That is awesome.
I love it.
All right, man.
And it's Hipshot.
I love my customers, players. I love them. That's why I do it. I love it. I love the whole thing.
It's always nice when you can make them happy, and it just, it serves no other purpose than to just bring their performance level up, however much.
Wonderful thing.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So it's a high. It's my drug of choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So give out the website there, Dave.
Okay, it's www.hipshotproducts.com.
All right, that'll be on our website.
Yeah.
And it'll stick with your episode indefinitely. So definitely go out there and check it out. I recommend it. I mean, I'm nobody, but let me tell you, thing pulled me out of more holes than you could imagine. So
Thank
just
you.
this little tiny lever and a little gear,
you go.
and I was the happiest guy going.
Sheer genius.
It was
Yeah.
awesome, man. So,
Very good.
All right,
Well,
Dave.
God bless you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Right back at you, my friend. Thank you. Have a
All right.
great rest of the evening, and
too.
going into the weekend, have a great one. And thank you for taking the time.
It's a pleasure, and thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. Mr. Dave Borisoff, the founder himself
and let me tell you,
of Hipshot.
I know I said it a couple times in the interview. I'm not BSing about that, how reliable that product was.
That's awesome. Well, I tell you, it worked. If it worked well, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to work for 17 years,
And I never had to do
and
anything
it still
to
worked well enough where you took it off the damn guitar before you sold it. I
Yeah.
mean, hell, that's a testament right there.
I can tell you the one problem, and I didn't mention it to Dave because it was not really that big of a problem. When I first put it on, I boogered the screw because I had to go into maple and I didn't drill the hole deep enough. There was a set because I had spurzels. He said that if I had like a regular Schaller gear, it would have worked. It would have screwed right into the hole.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a plate, right?
Mhm.
So I had to drill a hole, and when I drilled the hole, I didn't drill it hard enough, deep enough, and I boogered the screw.
Mhm.
So I had to go find the screw replacement, and I called, and it was obviously Dave that answered the phone, and he said, just go get yourself a number 6 whatever, right? Wood screw. Yeah, they don't exist on the planet. Number 6 is like this oddball screw. So I ended up going to
That's bizarre because that's
they had
standard
5
size.
and they had 7s in hardware stores, but 6.
Are you sure about this?
Yes,
son?
and I'll have to go back and look. Maybe 6 is not the correct number. It was one number that they did not have at the store.
Screws are usually in even numbers.
Okay, maybe it was an odd.
Right, it must have been.
Like
you had a
maybe,
5 or a 7.
Yeah, maybe it was like a 5.
It sounds like a 5. A 7 would be too big.
Yes. So I ended up going to a nut and bolt place deep in the city and met an interesting character there when I did get this thing, and I bought a box of 100. I still
Awesome.
have them. But it worked perfect, and that was my only complaint because I was like, oh my God.
Well, see, that wasn't a product complaint.
No, it was a screw.
That was a
they
mixed screwed up complaint.
Yeah, and I was like, why didn't they use the hardware store screw? But it was just so they,
Well, it's because that was the right size screw to
For-
use for that application.
because of the screw that you use on your tuner.
And well, whatever, it was the right size for that application. And being in the industry, you just get whatever you need. And like when you're building something, you don't really a lot of times take into account, well, can somebody actually walk into a hardware store
Yeah.
and purchase this item, where you could buy them by the hundreds online if you're a manufacturer,
Yeah.
I mean, not online, from a distributor, but so it was the right size for him to use, but that didn't have bearing on can you walk into a hardware store and get it. But I mean, honestly, in a lot of products, how many things can you walk into a damn hardware store
Exactly.
and buy?
Yeah, well, I think that the reason is because that the shaft of that screw was what matched. So you weren't egging out the hole for the original tuner because
Exactly.
everything he does is replace it,
It was
but take
the
it
right
off. And,
screw for the application.
Exactly.
That's what I was saying.
yes, yeah. So I boogered it, and I had to go searching through miles of of stores. Finally found it, fixed it. 17 years, tried and true, and that was
Well,
my story.
once you go to put this back on another guitar someday, you'll have 99 more screws to put it on with.
Pretty
So
much.
there you go.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell am I going to do with this box of screws? But anyway.
You just have to invent something that uses those screws now.
Yes. So until next time, my friend.
Is it that time already? Oh wait, I had one more thing.
Oh,
I
well-
forgot in the beginning of the show.
Oh,
I forgot. And okay, this may be a day or so late, but
Yes.
happy birthday, James Burton.
oh.
Yeah, it's his birthday.
And while we're doing birthdays, happy birthday, Dimebag Daryl.
You are correct, my
His
friend.
birthday was yesterday.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right. And you were a Dimebag fan.
I am a Dimebag fan. I mean, horrible. It's just unfathomable that a musician would be shot to death on stage.
I know. That's like your life being taken from you at home. It's just terrible.
Or if you're working desk job, somebody comes in and blows you away at your desk. It doesn't make any sense, but then again...
He must have stolen a stapler.
It specifically said Swingline.
So...
it's red.
Until next time, my friend.
Yes.
I'm still who you're not.
Yes, I'm Mick Marcelino.
And I'm Jeff Bober.
And we are saying...
Onward.
Be sure to follow the show on Twitter @AmsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and Lick of the Week with Dave Nassi, visit our website, AmsandAxesCast.com. Thanks for listening.